I spent £95,000 on a wedding that never happened. She smiled in every photo, danced with me under those lights. Let me believe I was finally building something real. But when it came time to sign the papers, she was gone. I stood there in my suit, holding the pen, waiting. She never came back. My name is Marvin. I'm 60 years old, and I live in Cardiff. 3 years ago, my wife Ann died. Cancer. 32 years of marriage, gone in 18 months. The doctors tried everything, but in the end, it didn't matter. I held her hand when she passed, told her I loved her. She couldn't speak anymore, but she squeezed my fingers. That was the last thing she gave me. After the funeral, my daughters came by for a few weeks. They meant well, but they had their own lives, their own families. Eventually, they stopped calling as much. I didn't blame them. What could they say that would make it better? The house felt too big, too quiet. I'd wake up reaching for her side of the bed and find it cold, empty. I started spending my days in the living room, watching television I didn't care about, eating meals I didn't taste. My mates from the pub would say things like, "You need to get back out there, Marv. Ann wouldn't want you sitting around like this." But they didn't understand. I didn't want to get back out there. I wanted my wife back. I wanted my life back. One night, I couldn't sleep. I was scrolling through some travel forum on my phone, reading about men who'd retired abroad: Thailand, Vietnam, the Philippines. Most of it was the usual expat nonsense, but one post caught my eye. A bloke in his 50s talking about how he'd met someone in Manila, how she'd made him feel alive again, how he'd stopped feeling like he was just waiting to die. I read that line 3 times. Waiting to die. That's exactly what I was doing. I didn't join the site right away. Took me 2 more weeks, but the thought wouldn't leave me. Maybe I didn't have to spend the rest of my life alone. Maybe there was still something left for me. So I signed up, created a profile, put up a photo from last year, before I'd lost all the weight from not eating properly, wrote a few lines about myself. Widower, 2 daughters, quiet life in Wales, looking for companionship. I felt ridiculous, but I did it anyway. Most of the profiles looked fake. Women half my age with professional photos, asking for money in broken English. I almost deleted my account after the first week. Then I saw her, Josephine, 25, from Palawan. Her profile picture wasn't some glamour shot, just her standing on a beach, smiling at the camera. She looked real, normal. She messaged me first. "Hi Marvin, I see you are from Wales. I never meet someone from there before. What is it like? Simple, sweet. No demands, no hints about needing help with bills or sick relatives." We started talking. At first, just messages. She'd ask about my day, about Cardiff, about what I like to do. I told her about Ann. I don't know why I did. Usually, I kept that to myself, but something about Josephine made me want to be honest. I typed it out one night. "My wife passed away 3 years ago. I've been alone since then. I'm not sure what I'm doing on this site, to be honest. I just didn't want to feel invisible anymore." I hit send and immediately regretted it. Too much, too soon. But her reply came fast. "I am so sorry, Marvin. That must be very hard. My father died when I was young. My mother still cries sometimes. Love like that does not go away, but maybe you can find something new, not to replace. Just something to help you feel less alone." I stared at that message for 10 minutes. She didn't try to fix it, didn't tell me to move on. She just understood. We started video calling after that, every night. She'd show me around her village, the small house she shared with her mother, the beach near her home. The water was so blue, it didn't look real. "You should come visit," she said one night. "I can show you Palawan. It is beautiful here." "I don't know," I said. "It's a long way." "I know," she said. "But maybe you need long way. Maybe you need something different." She was right. I booked the flight 2 weeks later. I saw her before she saw me. I was standing in the arrivals area at Puerto Princesa, sweating through my shirt, wondering if I'd made a terrible mistake. Then she walked through the doors, and my chest went tight. She was smaller than I'd expected, more real. She looked around, nervous, until she spotted me. Then she smiled. That same smile from her profile. "Marvin," she said, walking up to me. "You are here." "I'm here," I said. She hugged me. Not long, not dramatic. Just a quick, warm hug, like we'd known each other for years. The first week was perfect. I don't know how else to describe it. She took me to beaches I'd never heard of, hidden coves where the water was so clear I could see fish swimming around my feet. She introduced me to her mother, Carmelita, a tiny woman who spoke almost no English but hugged me like I was family. Josephine cooked for me every night. Simple food, rice and fish and vegetables, but it tasted better than anything I'd eaten in years. We'd sit on the porch after dinner, watching the sun go down, and she'd hold my hand. I hadn't held someone's hand in 3 years. I'd forgotten what it felt like. One night, we were sitting on the beach, and she turned to me. "Marvin, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Why did you come here?" "To Philippines. To see me." I thought about it. "Because I was tired of being alone. And because you made me feel like maybe I didn't have to be." She smiled. "I feel the same. I never meet someone like you. Someone who listens, who is kind, who does not just want something from me." "What would I want from you?" I asked. She looked at the water. "Many men come here. They want young girl. They want someone to take care of them. They do not see person. They see service. I don't see you that way." I said. "I know," she said. "That is why I like you. On the last night I told her I wanted to come back." She smiled. "I will wait," she said. I believed her. Back in Cardiff, I couldn't stop thinking about her. We talked every day. Video calls at night, messages during the day. She'd send me photos of the beach, of her mother, of meals she was cooking. I'd send her pictures of Cardiff in the rain, of the gray skies, of my boring flat. "I miss you," she said one night. "I miss you too," I said. And I meant it. 3 months after I got back, I asked her to marry me. I didn't plan it. We were on a video call, and she was showing me some new flowers her mother had planted, and suddenly the words were out. "Josephine, I want you to come to Wales. I want you to be my wife." She froze. "Marvin, are you serious?" "Yes," I said. "I know it's fast. I know I'm older, but I don't want to waste time. I love you." She started crying. Real tears streaming down her face. "I love you too," she said. "Yes, yes, I will marry you." We started planning immediately. She wanted a traditional Filipino wedding in Palawan so her family could attend. I didn't care where we got married. I just wanted to marry her. "I will make list," she said. "Venue, food, everything. I will send to you." The list came a week later. Venue rental, catering for 200 guests, photographer, videographer, flowers, live band, makeup artist, a wedding dress, a barong for me. The total was £75,000. I stared at the number. "That's a lot," I said on our next call. She looked hurt. "I know, but this is important, Marvin. This is for my mother, for my family. This is only wedding I will have. In Philippines, wedding is big. Everyone come. It is not just for us. It is for community." I felt guilty immediately. "No, you're right. I'm sorry. It's your day. Our day. I want it to be perfect." She smiled. "Thank you, Marvin. I will make everything beautiful. You will see." She gave me the name of a wedding planner. Liza, professional, experienced, highly recommended. I wired £30,000 to Liza's account that week. First deposit. I flew back to Palawan 6 weeks before the wedding. I wanted to help with the planning, to see how everything was coming together. Josephine picked me up at the airport. She looked different, thinner, stressed. "Are you okay?" I asked. Yes, she said. "Just busy. So much to do." She was on her phone constantly, texting Liza, checking details, confirming bookings. I tried to help, but she'd wave me off. No, I handle it. You relax." But I couldn't relax. Something felt off. I met Liza 3 days later. She was sharp, polished, talked fast, barely looked at me. "Everything is going perfectly, Mr. Marvin," she said. "Venue is booked. Caterer is confirmed. Flowers are ordered. Can I see the receipts?" I asked. She blinked. "Receipts? For the deposits. I just want to make sure everything's accounted for." Her smile tightened. "Everything is processed. The invoices are still being finalized. But I can send them to you next week." "Next week?" "Yes. The suppliers are slow with paperwork here. Very normal." I looked at Josephine. She was staring at her phone. "Josephine, do you have copies?" She looked up. "What?" "Copies of the receipts." From Liza. Her face changed, closed off. "Marvin, why are you asking this? You do not trust me?" "It's not about trust. I just want to see where the money's going." "You think I'm stealing from you?" "I didn't say that, but you think it." She stood up. "Liza, we talk later. Marvin and I need to speak." We went outside. She was shaking. "Why are you doing this?" she said. "I am working so hard, planning everything, making sure your wedding is perfect. And you accuse me." "I'm not accusing you. I just asked a question. You asked because you do not trust me. You think because I am Filipina, I am trying to trick you. That's not what I think." "Then why ask?" I didn't have an answer. She walked away. I stood there, feeling like I'd ruined everything. That night, her mother barely spoke to me. She served dinner and disappeared into her room. Josephine ate in silence. I tried to apologize. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have questioned you." She didn't look up. "It is okay." But it wasn't okay. The next day, a neighbor stopped me. Old man, friendly face. "You are Josephine's fiancé?" he said. "Yes." "Be careful," he said. "What?" "Her ex-boyfriend. From Manila. He still call her." My stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" He shrugged. "Maybe nothing. Maybe something." "I just tell you what I see," I asked Josephine that night. "Who's your ex-boyfriend in Manila?" She went pale. "Who told you that?" "A neighbor. It is nothing. Just someone I dated before. It was not serious." "Does he still call you?" "Sometimes. But I do not answer." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because it is not important, Marvin. He is past. You are future." I wanted to believe her. I wired another 25,000 pounds. 2 weeks before the wedding, Josephine called. "Marvin, I have bad news. The flowers we wanted, they are not available. We need to upgrade. And the photographer, he says he needs second camera operator for big wedding. And the reception, we need to extend time because of so many guests." "How much more?" I asked. 20,000 pounds. My throat went dry. 20,000? On top of the 75? I know. I am so sorry. But everything here is more expensive than we thought, and we cannot cancel now. We lose all deposits. Josephine, that's 95,000 pounds. I know. But this is our wedding, Marvin. This is once in lifetime. I hesitated. My eldest daughter had called me the week before. "Dad, I'm worried. This seems like a lot of money." "Do you really know this woman?" I'd snapped at her. "Don't talk about her like that. She's going to be your stepmother." She'd gone quiet. "Okay, Dad. I'm just concerned." Now, sitting in my flat in Cardiff, staring at my bank balance, I heard her voice again, but I pushed it away. This was my future, my second chance. "Okay," I told Josephine. "I'll send it." "Thank you, Marvin. Thank you so much. I promise, everything will be perfect." I wired the final 40,000 pounds. She sent me a voice message later. "Got the money. Thank you, my love. See you soon." Her voice sounded rushed, distracted. I told myself she was just stressed. The next week, her replies slowed down. She stopped video calling. "Too busy," she texted. "So much to do." I texted her every day. "How's the planning going?" "Good. Can we talk tonight? Maybe tomorrow." "Very tired." "I miss you." "Miss you too." I stared at that last message. 3 words. No heart emoji, no warmth, just 3 flat words. The night before the wedding, I texted her. "I can't wait to marry you tomorrow. I love you." she replied 4 hours later. Me too, with a heart emoji. I stared at my phone. Something in me went cold. I woke up at 6 in the morning. Couldn't sleep. I showered, put on the white barong Josephine had sent me, checked my reflection in the mirror. I looked old, tired, nervous. I checked my phone. No message from Josephine. I texted her. "Good morning, my love. Today's the day." No reply. I told myself she was busy, getting ready. Her phone was probably off. I arrived at the venue at 10. It was beautiful. White flowers everywhere. Tables set with crisp linens. A stage for the band. Lights strung up like stars. Everything Josephine had promised. Guests were already arriving. Extended family, neighbors, people I didn't recognize. Everyone was dressed up, smiling, talking, laughing. But Josephine wasn't there. I called her, straight to voicemail. "Hi, it's me. Where are you?" Everyone's starting to arrive. I called again. Voicemail. I found Carmelita near the entrance. "Where's Josephine?" I asked. She wouldn't look at me. "She is coming soon." "Soon? The ceremony starts in an hour." "She is coming," Carmelita repeated. Then she walked away. I stood there, my heart pounding. The guests kept arriving. 100 people, 150, 200, all eating, drinking, laughing. The band started playing. People danced. I stood near the entrance, watching the road, waiting for her car. 1 hour passed. 2. My phone stayed silent. I called her 20 times. Voicemail every time. The officiant arrived at noon. He was an older man, formal, carrying a leather folder. "Mr. Marvin?" he said. "Yes. Are we ready to begin? The bride isn't here yet." He frowned. "When will she arrive?" "I don't know." He checked his watch. "I have another ceremony at 3. Can we delay 30 minutes? "Yes. Please. She'll be here." But she wasn't. The officiant left at 1. "I am very sorry," he said. "I cannot wait longer." The guests kept eating, kept drinking, kept dancing, like nothing was wrong, like the bride not showing up to her own wedding was perfectly normal. I stood at the head table, staring at the empty chair next to me, white, decorated with flowers, reserved for Josephine. I sat down. My legs were shaking. I called her again. Voicemail. By 4, most of the guests were gone. A few stragglers remained, drunk, laughing in the corner. The band packed up. The caterers started clearing plates. I sat there alone, in my wedding barong, staring at that empty chair. Then Liza appeared. I hadn't seen her all day. "Mr. Marvin," she said, her voice flat. Professional. "I am very sorry. Josephine had a family emergency. She will explain later." "A family emergency? What kind of emergency?" "I do not have details. But she asked me to tell you she is very sorry." "Where is she?" "I do not know." "You're her wedding planner. You don't know where the bride is?" Liza's face stayed blank. "I am sorry. I have to go." She turned and walked away. I sat there until the sun went down. The venue staff turned off the lights, packed up the tables, swept the floor. I sat at the head table, holding the marriage contract, unsigned, waiting for a bride who never came. I called her 100 times over the next 2 days. No answer. I went to her house. The door was locked. The windows were dark. I knocked. No one came. I asked neighbors. They avoided eye contact, shrugged, said they didn't know. On the 3rd day, the old man who'd warned me stopped me on the street. "She is gone," he said. "What?" "Josephine. She left for Manila 2 days before the wedding." My heart stopped. "That's not possible." "It is true. I saw her leave. She had suitcases. Her cousin drove her." "Why would she leave?" He looked at me with something like pity. "You really do not know?" "Know what?" "She has boyfriend in Manila. For long time. Everyone here knows." I felt like I'd been punched. "That's not true." "It is true. The wedding, all of this, it was never real." "What are you saying?" "You were scammed, Mr. Marvin. The wedding planner, Liza, she is Josephine's cousin. The venue, the food, the guests, they were all part of it. You paid for a fake wedding. I couldn't breathe. Where's the money? He shrugged. Gone. Split between them. This happens sometimes. Foreign men come, fall in love, spend money. Then the girl disappears. I called my bank, called a lawyer. They both said the same thing. Nothing could be done. The money was wired voluntarily. No contract was signed. I had no recourse. I flew back to Cardiff 3 days later. My daughters met me at the airport. They didn't say I told you so. They just hugged me. But the damage was done. I'd trusted someone completely, and she destroyed me. Months passed. I didn't date, didn't travel. I sat in my flat replaying every conversation, every smile, every lie. I wondered if any of it was real. The beach walks, the laughter, the tears when I proposed. Did she feel anything? Or was I just a mark from the beginning? I thought about Anne, my real wife, the woman who loved me for 32 years. And I felt ashamed. I'd spent £95,000 trying to replace her, trying to buy love because I was too broken to find it honestly. My daughters visited more often. They didn't push me to move on. They just sat with me. One night, my youngest asked, "Dad, do you regret going?" I thought for a long time. "I regret believing I could buy love," I said. She hugged me. I cried for the first time since the wedding. I cried for the money, for the humiliation, for the loneliness that drove me to Josephine in the first place. But mostly, I cried for Anne, because I'd betrayed her memory by thinking someone could replace her. No one could. No one ever would. I started therapy, talked to someone about grief, about loneliness, about how I'd been vulnerable and someone exploited that. The therapist didn't judge, just listened, asked questions, helped me see that I wasn't stupid, just desperate. There's a difference. My daughters started calling more, visiting more. We talked about Anne, about memories, about how much we all missed her. I realized I'd shut them out after she died, pushed them away because their grief reminded me of my own. That was my mistake, not Josephine, me. I started going to the pub again, seeing my mates. They asked where I'd been. I told them the truth. Some laughed, some looked uncomfortable, but a few understood. One bloke pulled me aside. "Happened to my cousin," he said. "Different country, same scam. You're not alone, Marv." That helped more than I expected. I keep the unsigned marriage contract in a drawer. I don't know why. Maybe it's proof. Maybe it's a reminder. I'm not the same man who flew to Palawan full of hope. I'm lonelier now, but wiser. I don't blame all Filipino women. I don't even blame Josephine, really. She saw an opportunity and took it. I blame myself for ignoring every red flag, for choosing fantasy over reality. The wedding photos are still online, posted by guests, by Liza, by strangers. I'm in every one, smiling next to an empty chair. I thought about asking them to take the photos down, but I didn't. Let them stay. Let the world see what happens when a lonely man mistakes attention for affection. Sometimes I wonder about Josephine, where she is, what she's doing. If she ever thinks about me, probably not. I was just a transaction, a payday. She got her money and moved on. That's the part that hurts most, not the money. The fact that I meant nothing. I was 60 years old, grieving, desperate for connection, and she saw that and used it. I think about the nights we talked, the beach walks, her mother's smile. Were any of those people real? Or were they all actors in a play designed to drain my bank account? I'll never know, and maybe that's the point. I wanted to believe so badly that I ignored reality. I saw what I wanted to see, heard what I wanted to hear. I built a fantasy in my head and called it love. Anne used to say I was too trusting. She'd laugh about it, but she was serious too. "Marv, you believe everyone. You think the best of people. That's beautiful, but it'll hurt you one day." She was right. It hurt me. I'm 60 years old. I have maybe 20 good years left, if I'm lucky. I don't want to spend them alone, but I also don't want to spend them chasing ghosts. I don't want to be that desperate man again, wiring money to strangers, believing promises whispered through a screen. My daughters tell me I'll find someone real, someone local, someone who wants me, Not my wallet. Maybe. But I'm not looking. Not anymore. I'm done hoping. Done believing that love is out there waiting if I just try hard enough. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Either way, I'm tired. The flat still feels too big, too quiet. But I'm learning to live with it. Some nights are harder than others. I'll see a couple walking hand in hand, and my chest will ache. I'll think about Josephine, about the wedding that never happened, about the chair that stayed empty. But then, I remember, she was never real. The love I felt was real, but she wasn't. And that's the difference. I loved her. She never loved me. I carry that now, not as a wound, but as a truth. Some people see love as currency. They measure relationships in deposits and withdrawals. Josephine was one of those people. I wasn't, and that's why I lost. The unsigned papers sit in my drawer. I look at them sometimes. Read the blank spaces where our signatures should be, where our future should have started. But there's no future there, just empty lines and broken promises. I'm 60 years old, a widower, a fool, a survivor. I spent £95,000 on a wedding that never happened, and I learned that some prices can't be measured in money. The real cost was believing that I could escape my grief by buying someone else's affection. I couldn't, and I won't try again. This is my confession, my warning, my truth. If you're lonely, if you're desperate, if you're scrolling through profiles at 3 a.m. looking for someone to fill the emptiness, stop. Because there are people out there who will see that emptiness and exploit it. They'll smile, they'll listen, they'll make you believe, and then they'll disappear, leaving you with nothing but unsigned papers and the quiet, crushing realization that you were never loved. You were just used. I know, because it happened to me, and I'll carry that for the rest of my life.